Okay, y'all. Maybe third time is going to be a charm, but I definitely left room to go back in case I ever feel like it. So the Redmax 5000 port work is done, and I'm about to reassemble the saw. So I want to show you guys what I did. First up, the piston here. I cut a pop-up in it. It's a 30 thousandths pop-up. You know, there might be some people out there that say you shouldn't have done that. Hey, I'm trying here. Okay. The other thing is I did the gas ports. Before you ask me about the gas ports, know that this is one of the tips that my paid subscribers get. So, but I mean, it's not hard to look it up. The other thing is, so these right here this is, boy, the light is really not working for me, is it? So the air gets trapped in here for the strato. This is the strato charge portion, right? It fills up this area, and then as the transfers come on, the first thing to evacuate is this air pocket. So by removing a portion of the front side, you are evacuating it out faster. So sort of a kickstart to the transfers flowing. So I removed 80 thousandths from the front, all right? Now, my buddy tells me about lightening these pistons up, and I am with him completely. However, the race is just around the corner. Today is Tuesday, the 6th, and on the 10th is the race, and I've got to go all the way to Michigan and everything. I don't have time to be messing around. I did get a Duke's piston for this. However, I'm just done. All right, I'm not going to drill out holes here to lighten the piston and take a chance of ruining it, because cutting that pop-up, while after I've done it now, it's easy to do, but I don't want to do it twice. So I don't want to chance busting through on this, because I'm just not confident enough with it, and I don't have time to deal with the flub up. The intake timing I got by cutting this right here. All right, I just raised that a little bit, and I didn't touch the intake at all. So I cut 40 thousandths out of the squish, and then of course there's the pop-up, all right, to give it even more compression. And I cut the base. I can't remember how much I cut off the base, about 60 thousandths probably, maybe 50 thousandths. I don't know exactly what I cut off the base, but I set the squish to a perfect 20 thousandths. So we get the pop-up and 20 thousandths squish with 40 thousandths removed from the squish. So should have good compression. My numbers are 80.7 for the intake. And again, like I said, I didn't touch the intake. I didn't do anything to it at all. Nothing. Now, again, my buddy tells me that I should, let me see if I can put this in here. Come on, get in there. Get. I want to show you. There we go. All right, so we go all the way up. That's at top dead center, and there is a space on the top of this intake. All right, if I was to remove the top of the intake to where it matches the bottom of the piston, then I would be increasing my intake, which his point of, oh yeah, you can see it real good here. See that on the intake? There's a spot there. If I cut that out, raised the intake sealing to match the bottom of the piston. He cuts that out. And I understand what he's doing. He's getting, what's he like to say? Port area. He's wanting to increase his port area. But like I said before, several times, I've fallen into my own rhythm and the way that I like to do things. And I like all the ports to be as small as possible, aside from the exhaust. And so by removing that, what you're doing is you are making that intake go from this big to that big. And it's a small incremental step. It's a small step. However, the way I see it, you gain nothing. There's nothing to be gained there by going from this size intake to that size intake. All you're doing is increasing that volume, which is slowing down your charge. This is my way of thinking, okay? My guy is really good and he knows what he's doing and everything. However, and he wants to remain anonymous. That's why I don't ever name him. But I like to keep things as tight as possible. For example, with these 5 series, I don't know if it's all of them or just the 550 and the 562, but it's a known thing that even if you just simply do a base gasket delete, you have to cut the bottom of your skirt because it hits. Why is that? Well, it's because, obviously, to me, it's obvious, Husqvarna is trying to keep the crankcase volume as tight as they can possibly keep it, right? As tight as possible. And so, therefore, I'm wanting to follow their example. And maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, we'll see. But yeah, no point in increasing that volume. I see no benefit there, so I'm not going to do it. Maybe this will change in the future. The other thing to be noted is I did not do anything to the lower transfers aside from I knocked this down flush so that it flows in there as easily as possible. And there are a few spots. You can see where I actually hit it and I grinded. There are a few spots in the casting that are stepped. Well, I removed that step because anytime you have a step, that's whenever you get turbulence going, right? And you get small, tiny pressure drops right there in that area. Small, tiny pressure drops. I don't want any of that stuff. So I want it to flow as smoothly as possible, and I want my crankcase to be as tight as possible. So therefore, I didn't remove anything. Most people like to peak this right here, right? So that it is like this. As it is, it's more like this. Most people cut like that. Well, they've just removed all that volume. Maybe it flows better when they do that. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. This is all a test. There's also still the stark reality that because this thing is a Mark 1, right? I know it's a Redmax, but this is a 545 Mark 1 Husqvarna. Now, I've put the crankcase stuffers in there, so that effectively makes it a Mark II. Some people say that the transfer caps are bigger on the 550 versus the 545. However, I've got them both, and I can't tell any difference whatsoever. There might be a difference if I measured it out, but I don't see any difference whatsoever in the transfer caps. So, as far as I know, the only difference between the cylinder and the engine component, well, actually the whole saw. I think the only difference is the 545 does not have crank stuffers, the 550 does. Oh, and I found out the hard way that because it has crank stuffers, it also requires a different crank. The journals need to be thinner in order to make room for those crank stuffers. So anyways, I think that technically what this is now is the same thing as a 550 Mark 1. And it is now ported. Oh, I wanted to mention too, my skirt. I paid particularly close attention to the skirt. I mean, I paid really close attention because it's bitten me in the past. And I don't want to ruin anything. But this skirt, again, I wanted to keep everything as tight as possible. You can see the smallest of gaps right here, right? It's got a 15 thousandths gap between the bottom of this skirt and the, oh shoot, I've got to take this phone call. Okay, I had to take a phone call. So, where did I leave off? Yeah, so I worked really, really, really hard to get my numbers exactly where I wanted them, you know, which for some reason for me on a saw this small with a stroke this short, it's difficult. I kept screwing it up before, but I think I got it this time. I think we got good numbers, and we got a good tight crankcase. So only 15 thousandths of an inch between the cylinder skirt and the actual crankcase. So it's as tight as possible. I removed as little material as possible, absolutely. And then my numbers were at 80.7 on the intake. I wanted 81, so we're 80.7. I was like, yeah, we're good. Let's stop right there. Exhaust is at 102. All the added compression and the pop-up and everything, a 102 exhaust, I think is going to work out well on this. We'll see. And then the transfers, I told you I'd shoot between 112 and 113. I got them set to 112.4. So I'm happy. I'm about ready to reassemble this saw, and we will see how it works. Another area that my guy likes to hit, and I am not going to risk, because I tried it before and I free ported. Let me make a mark here. Is the piston, whenever it comes down right there, it blocks this a small amount, and so he likes to open, you know, cut a little bit from the piston skirt right there. I'm also going to leave that. I'm not going to risk free porting this piston again like I have in the past. Like I said, I'm not super confident with this, and so this is my third time doing these. The first two times I screwed up both times. So this time I'm going to take it easy, make sure that I don't screw anything up. And if it runs good, I will be hanging out a bit with Dyno Joe, and maybe we'll have time to throw it on the dyno. Maybe we won't waste our time on something like this because, I don't know, bigger fish to fry. But we'll see. I don't know. But I'm going to throw it back together right now, and then later on, hopefully I'll have a chance to put it in the wood today. It's a beautiful day outside, and hopefully it runs good. We'll see. And I don't want to miss, I can't remember if I said this or not, but technically, I guess this is a 550 Mark 1 at this point, and let's not lose sight of that. I just don't expect this to be capable of breaking the 6 horsepower barrier like the 550s can if done extremely well. I just don't expect it. They made clear advancements with the 550 Mark II, and I don't know that this one will ever really be a feasible contender to the Mark I. I don't know. But like if I could get like 5.8, I'd be ecstatic, right? You know, but we'll see. I don't know. Or maybe we won't see. I just gotta put that in there. It is still technically just a Mark 1, and they just don't perform as well as the Mark 2s.